Good morning, everybody. This is Ron. Welcome to Story Time. Coming to you again on location at the Lovebirds Bakery and Cafe on Colorado Boulevard in Pasadena. And we're continuing our journey where the sidewalk ends, the poems and drawings of Shel Silverstein. This one is called Minnow Minnie. May I ask you if you've noticed, may I ask you if you've seen my minnow Minnie, who is swimming in your Ovaltine? For you've gone and drunk it up, dear, and she isn't in the cup, dear, and she's nowhere to be found, dear. Do you think that she has drowned, dear? The razor-tailed wren. The razor-tailed wren, he'll pretend he's your friend as he cuts all the grass on your lawn, but do not leave anything sticking far out, or swishity, it will be gone. The Bloath. In the undergrowth there dwells a Bloath, who feeds upon poets and tea. Luckily I know this about him, while he knows almost nothing of me. The Yippee-Yuck. In the swamplands long ago, where the weeds and mud glumps grow, a Yippee-Yuck bit on my toe. Exactly why I do not know. I kicked and cried and hollered, oh. The Yippee-Yuck would not let go. I whispered to him soft and low. The Yippee-Yuck would not let go. I shouted, stop, desist, and whoa! The Yippee-Yuck would not let go. Yes, that was 16 years ago, and the Yippee-Yuck still won't let go. The snow may fall, the winds may blow, the Yippee-Yuck will not let go. The snow may melt, the grass may grow, the Yippee-Yuck will not let go. I drag him round each place I go, this Yippee-Yuck that won't let go. And now, my child, at last you know exactly why I walk so slow. What's in the sack? What's in the sack? What's in the sack? Is it some mushrooms or is it the moon? Is it love letters or downy goose feathers? Or maybe the world's most enormous balloon? What's in the sack? That's all they ask me. Could it be popcorn or marbles or books? Is it 2 years' worth of your dirty laundry? Or the biggest old meatball that's ever been cooked? Does anyone ask me, hey, when is your birthday? Can you play Monopoly? Do you like beans? What is the capital of Yugoslavia? Or who embroidered the rose on your jeans? No, what's in the sack? That's all they care about. Is it a rock or a rolled-up giraffe? Is it pickles or nickels or busted bicycles? And if we guess it, will you give us half? Do they ask where I've been or how long I'll be staying, where I'll be going or when I'll be back? Or how do or what's new? Or, hey, why are you blue? No, all they keep asking is, what's in the sack? What's in the sack? I'm blowing my stack at the next one who asks me, what's in the sack? What? Oh, no. Not you, too. Won't you? Barbara's eyes are blue as azure, and she's in love with Freddie. Karen's sweet, but Harry has her. Gentle Jane is going steady. Carol hates me, so does May. Abigail will not be mine. Nancy lives too far away. Won't you be my Valentine? Alice. She drank from a bottle called Drink Me, and she grew so tall. She ate from a plate called Taste Me, and down she shrank so small. And so she changed, while other folks have tried nothing at all. Shadow wash. I've never washed my shadow out in all the time I've had it. It was absolutely filthy, I supposed, and so today I peeled it off the wall where it was leaning and stuck it in the wash tub with the clothes. I put in soap and bleach and stuff, and I let it soak for hours. I wrung it out and hung it out to dry. And whoever would have thunk that I would have gone and shrunk, for now it's so much littler than I. Recipe for a hippopotamus sandwich. A hippo sandwich is easy to make. All you do is simply take 1 slice of bread, 1 slice of cake, some mayonnaise, 1 onion ring, 1 hippopotamus, 1 piece of string. A dash of pepper, that ought to do it. And now comes the problem, biting into it. 18 flavors. 18 luscious, scrumptious flavors. Chocolate, lime, and cherry. Coffee, pumpkin, fudge, banana. Caramel, cream, and boysenberry. Rocky road and toasted almond. Butterscotch, vanilla dip. Butter, brickle, apple ripple. Coconut, and mocha chip. Brandy, peach, and lemon custard. Each scoop lovely, smooth, and round. Tallest ice cream cone in town. Lying there on the ground. Poor Angus. Oh, what do you do, poor Angus, when hunger makes you cry? I fix myself an omelette, sir, of fluffy clouds and sky. Oh, what do you wear, poor Angus, when winds blow down the hills? I sew myself a warm cloak, sir, of hope and daffodils. Oh, who do you love, poor Angus, when Catherine's left the moor? Ah, then, sir, then's the only time I feel I'm really poor. What a day. What a day, oh what a day, my baby brother ran away, and now my tuba will not play. I'm 8 years old and turning gray. Oh what a day, oh what a day. Ma and God. God gave us fingers, Ma says, use your fork. God gave us voices, Ma says, don't scream. Ma says eat broccoli, cereal, and carrots, but God gave us tasties for maple ice cream. God gave us fingers, Ma says, use your hanky. God gave us puddles, Ma says, don't splash. Ma says, be quiet, your father is sleeping. But God gave us garbage cans, covers to crash. God gave us fingers, Ma says, put your gloves on. God gave us raindrops, Ma says, don't get wet. Ma says, be careful and don't get too near those strange, lovely dogs that God gave us to pet. God gave us fingers. Ma says, go wash 'em. But God gave us coal bins and nice dirty bodies. And I ain't too smart, but there's one thing for certain. Either Ma's wrong or else God is. Bang clang. I'm Big Barney Zang of the railroad gang. My partner is Charlie O'Flynn. And I hold the nails for the big steel rails, and Charlie, he hammers them in. And most of the time he does just fine, but now and again he fails. Maybe tomorrow I'll hammer 'em in and let Charlie hold the nails. Traffic light. The traffic light simply would not turn green, so the people stopped to wait as the traffic rolled and the wind blew cold and the hour grew dark and late. Zoom vroom, trucks and trailers, bikes and limousines, clattering by, me oh my. Won't that light turn green? But the days turned weeks and the weeks turned months, and there on the corner they stood, twiddling their thumbs till the change-in comes the way good people should. And if you walk by that corner now, you may think it's rather strange to see them there as they hopefully gaze, with the very same smile on their very same face, as they patiently stand in the very same place and wait for the light to change. Me stew. I have nothing to put in my stew, you see, not a bone or a bean or a black-eyed pea. So I'll just climb in the pot to see if I can make a stew out of me. I'll put in some pepper and salt, and I'll sit in the bubbling water. I won't scream a bit. I'll sing while I simmer. I'll smile while I'm stewing. I'll taste myself often to see how I'm doing. I'll stir me around with this big wooden spoon and serve myself up at 1:15 noon. So bring out your stew bowls, your gobblers and snackers. Farewell, and I hope you enjoy me with crackers. Double-tailed dog. Would you like to buy a dog with a tail at either end? He's quite the strangest dog there is in town, though he's no good at knowing just exactly where he's going. He's very, very good at sitting down. He doesn't have a place to put a collar, and I'll admit it's rather hard to lead him, and he cannot hear you call, for he has no ears at all, but it doesn't cost a single cent to feed him. He cannot bite, he'll never bark or growl. To scratch him on his tails, he'll find it pleasing. But you'll have to take him out for twice as many walks, and I'll bet that you can quickly guess the reason. Paul Bunyan. He rode through the woods on a big blue ox. He had fists as hard as chopping blocks. 500 pounds and 9 feet tall. That's Paul. Talk about working when he swung his axe. You could hear it ring for 1.5 miles. Then he'd yell timber and down she'd fall. For Paul. Talk about drinking. The man's so mean that he never drink nothing but kerosene. And 5-gallon can is a little bit small. For Paul. Talk about tough. Well, he once had a fight with a thunderstorm on a cold, dark night. I ain't saying who won, but it don't storm at all round here, thanks to Paul. He was 90 years old when he said with a sigh, I think I'm gonna lay right down and die, 'cause sunshine and sorrow I've seen it all, says Paul. He says there ain't no man alive can kill me, and no woman round can thrill me, and I think heaven just might be a ball, says Paul. So he died, and we cried. It took 18 men just to bust the ground. It took 24 more just to lower him down. And we covered him up, and we figured that was all for Paul. But late one night the trees started shaking, the dogs started howling, and the earth started quaking. And out of the ground with a high yawl come Paul. He shook the dirt off of his clothes, he scratched his butt, and he wiped his nose. You know, being dead was no fun at all. He says up in heaven they got harps on their knees, they got clouds and wings, but they got no trees. I don't think that's much of a heaven at all, says Paul. So he jumps on his ox with a fare thee well. He says, I'll find out if these trees in hell. And he rode away, and that was all we ever seen of Paul. But the next time you hear a timber yell that sounds like it's coming from the pits of hell, then a weird and devilish ghostly wail like somebody chopping on the devil's tail, then a shout, a call, a crash, a fall, that ain't no mortal man at all. That's Paul. Dancing pants. And now for the dancing pants, doing their fabulous dance. From the seat to the pleat, they will bounce to the beat with no legs inside them and no feet beneath. They'll whirl and twirl and jiggle and prance, so just start the music and give them a chance. Let's have a big hand for the wonderful, marvelous, supersational, utterly fabulous, talented dancing pants. I won't hatch. I am a chicken who lives in an egg, but I will not hatch. I will not hatch. The hens, they all cackle, the roosters all beg, but I will not hatch. I will not hatch. For I hear all the talk of pollution and war as the people all shout and the airplanes roar. So I'm staying in here where it's safe and it's warm, and I will not hatch. With his mouth full of food. Milford Dupree, though he knew it was rude, talked with his mouth full of food. He never would burp or walk out in the nude, but he talked with his mouth full of food. His mother said Milford is crude and it's lewd to talk with your mouth full of food. Why, even the milk cow who mooed as she chewed never mooed with her mouth full of food. And the cuckoo would never ever cuckooed if he cooed with his mouth full of food. His dad said, get married or go get tattooed, but don't talk with your mouth full of food. If it was a crime, you would surely get sued if you talked with your mouth full of food. Why, just like an animal, you should be zooed, and as you talk with your mouth full of food. For you know we're all put in a terrible mood when you talk with your mouth full of food. They pleaded and begged. He just giggled and chewed and laughed with his mouth full of food. And they all advised him he simply poo-pooed. He poo-pooed with his mouth full of food. So they sent him for the gluer and had his mouth glued, because he talked with his mouth full of food. Now instead of good morning, he says, good morning. I wouldn't took my mini marfaroo food. My hobby. When you spit from the 26th floor and it floats on the breeze to the ground, does it fall upon hats or on white Persian cats or on heads with a pity-pat sound? I used to think life was a bore, but I don't feel that way anymore. As I count up the hits, as I smile as I sit, as I spit from the 26th floor. Instructions. If you should ever choose to bathe an armadillo, use 1 bar of soap and a whole lot of hope, and 22 pads of Brillo. The worst. When singing songs of scariness, of bloodiness, and hairiness, I feel obligated at this moment to remind you of the most ferocious beast of all, 3,000 pounds and 9 feet tall, the glurpy slurpy Skagagrawl, who's standing right behind you. The bagpipe who didn't say no. It was 9 o'clock at midnight, a quarter after 3, when a turtle met a bagpipe on the shore side by the sea. And the turtle said, my dearie, may I sit with you? I'm weary. And the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to the bagpipe, I've walked this lonely shore. I've talked to waves and pebbles, but I've never loved before. Will you marry me today, dear? Is it no you're going to say, dear? But the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to his darling, please excuse me if I stare, but you have the plattest skin, dear, and you have the strangest hair. If I begged you pretty please, love, could I give you just one squeeze, love? And the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to the bagpipe, ah, you love me, then confess. Let me whisper in your dainty ear and hold you to my chest. And he cuddled her and teased her, and so lovingly he squeezed her. And the bagpipe said, auga. Said the turtle to the bagpipe, did you honk, or bray, or neigh? For auga, when you kissed, is such a heartless thing to say. Is it that I have offended? Is it that our love is ended? And the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to the bagpipe, "Shall I leave you, darling wife? Shall I waddle off to Woden? Shall I crawl out of your life? Shall I move to part and go, dear? Oh, I beg you, tell me no, dear." But the bagpipe didn't say no. So the turtle crept off crying, and he ne'er came back no more. And he left the bagpipe lying on that smooth and sandy shore. And some night when the tide is low there, just walk up and say, "Hello there," and politely ask the bagpipe if this story's really so. I assure you, darling children, that the bagpipe won't say no. And that was more selections from Where the Sidewalk Ends, the poems and drawings of Shel Silverstein. I usually like the poems that remind me of the Sarah Sylvia Cynthia Stout poem. That has that kind of lists of things, listing this, listing that. And but anyways, it's I think the poems are a combination. There's a childlike quality to them, but I think that they're also, like a lot of cartoons, Peanuts and whatnot, that they also have a certain adult sensibility to them. So, but I hope you've enjoyed them, and the next episode of Storytime will be on Friday, January 27th. And until then, have a great day.